Tuesday, 9th of January. Hey, listener, thank you for joining us. It's a European Daily Football show featuring the wonders of Alvaro Romeo. Hello.
Hola.
Also, Julien Laurence.
Bonjour.
Angry James Horncastle.
Very angry.
He's angry today.
He is angry, which is good.
Yeah. Use that. Let's use that passion. Raphael Honigstein, you ask, well, he's in Marbella, but we will be hearing from him shortly, of course, on Monday's big news, the death of Franz Beckenbauer. Crikey, what a momentous figure he was.
It's just we're losing them all, those legends, aren't we? Like, not that long ago it was Charlton, obviously, and they faced each other in that 66 final, World Cup final, and then even Pelé and Diego and all of them, they all watching from up there now. But it's just, I met him very briefly in 2006 at the World Cup in Germany, and the charisma and the elegance that he had even much later and in his life was just so striking. It was unbelievable. He walked in the room and then you could feel this force. It was unbelievable, really. And obviously we are too young and we saw only like videotapes of him, but what a player that he looked like.
Seb Stafford Bloor talking about the fact that he had three lives essentially, but excelled at all three of them.
Everywhere.
Incredibly successful as a player, as a manager, and then as an administrator as well.
Except in Marseille, though. That's the only
Except in
time,
Marseille.
really, where him and Tapie. And then
so
he left
often the footnote in great men's careers, except in Marseille.
Bernard Tapie. And he left saying, like, I can't stay with a president like Tapie.
Right, indeed. He was one of only three men to win the World Cup as both a player and a manager. Curiously, two of those three have died in the last week, because we should also mention the passing of Mario Zagallo.
Yeah, Mario Lobo Zagallo, as they nicknamed him in Brazil. Yeah, a real shame as well. And when it comes to Beckenbauer, again, there is no bigger honor for a former footballer than, giving a name to a position, basically. The libero has been always Franz Beckenbauer, and it will always be. So, he has earned it. He's been great.
But a moment of the weekend, perhaps. James Horncastle. You had league football this weekend.
Yeah, the only one.
A lot of league football and a lot of controversy. Italy's very angry with VAR, just as we are in this country in England. But particularly after the Inter-Hellas Verona game, in which the winning goal, deep in stoppage time, comes after Alessandro Bastoni shoulder barges Verona player in Verona's penalty box, and then they score. And it's, in many respects, a great moment in a title race where Davide Fratesi basically follows the ball in, tap in, then jumps onto those yellow gates at San Siro.
Climbs up. He looked like King Kong on the skyscraper.
And also the way he's like roaring as well is very primal. But afterwards, a lot of people saying, where is the VAR?
Yeah.
Should it not have been called back for a foul? And basically 24 hours of complotismo, sort of...
Dietrologia.
Exactly. Conspiracy theorizing, what's behind all of this. And Marotta, the Inter-chief executive, with a quite memorable line, I don't know if you saw this, James, where he said, we are like the hare which is being shot at, and we have to dodge these bullets.
Good Lord.
So let's see if the hare wins the race at the end of this season.
Okay.
That's my moment of the weekend.
It's very lovely. 2 points ahead of the
Juventus.
Kind of Terrapin-esque Torino Juventus, right? Yeah, we'll touch on some more of those themes later on. Alvaro, what about for you?
My moment of the weekend started on Sunday and finished off on Monday, because it was Unionistas beating Villarreal. As you may know, the game started on Sunday, the lights went off. It wasn't a problem of the ground, by the way, of the ground floodlights. It was a problem with the electrical supply in the area, and the game couldn't be finished off on Sunday. Therefore, that also postponed the cup draw until 6:30 on Monday evening. And the game finished on Sunday 1-1 with Villarreal and Unionistas. Unionistas is playing in the first tier of Spanish football. And on Monday, the game got resumed. Third tier of Spanish football, and the game got resumed on Monday. The penalty shootout happened. Pepe Reina was the goalkeeper of Villarreal. He couldn't help Villarreal anymore, even though he saved a penalty, and Unionistas went through. a team from the city of Salamanca, a team that was founded in 2013 as a division between the old Salamanca disappeared, and two teams came out of that split, and this team is founded by the fans and some private stakeholders.
Why is it called Unionistas?
Because the previous team was called Unión Deportiva Salamanca.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was brilliant to see. It was brilliant to see that Spanish, third-tier football, fourth-tier football can cause some havoc problems to top-flight teams. Barcelona suffering Barbastro as well. And this time Villarreal, a team that is suffering a lot this season, and maybe later we go through it, well, unfortunately for them, got wiped out from the Spanish Cup.
Yeah. Just 2 wins in their last 8 in all competitions, Villarreal. So they delayed the draw. Could they not just held the draw and said Unionistas or Villarreal?
No, because that draw is what we call in Spanish sorteo, draw condicionado. It means that Unionistas had to play against one of the teams that played the Super Cup, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico. So we had to wait until the outcome of this game for the draw to take place, because Unionistas went in one pot and Villarreal in the other one.
Understood. Okay. They've now drawn in that delayed ball selecting episode Barcelona, and the way Barcelona are playing, you probably give them a chance. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later on.
Unionists against would-be successionists, would that be?
That's the narrative, clearly.
Yeah.
Jules, it was Coupe de France last 64.
Yeah, and your friends from Golden Lion,
yes,
the Saint Joseph,
Lille Golden Lion.
Yeah, lost 12-0.
12-0.
Well, Lille, yeah. All that travelling to come all the way to the Metropole, and then you got spanked. But they had a great time. Did
they have a good time?
They have a really good time. So well done. That's the moment of the week. We wish them well. But just to quickly, those teams who come from Martinique or whatever, which we explained last week, usually struggle at this level. Seems to be the ceiling. Really, it's been really rare. I think only 3 times in the history where one of those clubs managed to go through to the next round. Yeah, usually they find it really hard at that level.
So the magic of the Coupe comes from the amateur sides that are based in France rather than in the...
Yes, mostly, yeah.
Okay.
All right, excellent. Where do you want to start today? I mean, Serie A, I guess, the most important, but we had James at the start of the last couple of weeks, and we wondered, do we mix it up? What do you feel?
Yeah, anything.
All right, we'll go Alvaro then. Alvaro. Woo. All right. Woo. Let's start our roundup. Our roundup begins in Spain. Alvaro are actually in Saudi Arabia, controversially.
Yes.
Because this midweek, it's the Supercopa. 4-team affair since what, 2019?
Since the 2019-20 season.
Yeah. Okay. So this midweek, we've got Barcelona taking on Osasuna and a Madrid derby in the other semi-final. One of many Madrid derbies coming up.
3 in the next 28 days, because they are going to play, as you said, in the Spanish Super Cup semi-final. Then the next week they play in the Spanish Cup, and then on the 4th of February they will be playing in La Liga, and Real Madrid wants to take revenge after what happened at Civitas Metropolitano, because the only defeat that Real Madrid has suffered this season to date is the defeat against Atletico de Madrid. That day was 3-1, I believe, with Atletico de Madrid just exploiting Real Madrid's frailties with the crosses, and the revenge is there to be taken, I guess, for Real Madrid, because Atletico is arriving into this game with far more issues than Real Madrid. Real Madrid, despite all the injuries, they are in a much better place than Atletico.
Okay, this game in Saudi, the semi-final, how keenly will it be felt? It being a Supercopa semi-final and the fans being several thousand miles away.
That's a good question, because the Super Cup has set the tone for what happened afterwards over the last years. For example, Barcelona beating Real Madrid in the final last year and playing very well against Real Madrid gave Barcelona a massive booster of confidence just to play the second half of the season, and they ended up being crowned La Liga champions. So I think that this game is important for Real Madrid and Atletico, for Real Madrid to keep their winning streak, and it's definitely important for the club, because if you see the preview of the game that Real Madrid TV is gonna do, they are going to focus on the referee again. The referee of this game, let me tell you very quickly, is gonna be a man surnamed Alvaro Rojas, and this is the same referee that Real Madrid has suffered their only defeat of the season with against Atletico at Civitas Metropolitano. After that game, and in the preview of this game, Real Madrid TV has done a proper preview of the game, basically blaming Alberola Rojas for what happened at the Civitas. So the club is taking that seriously. Atletico de Madrid as well, because they need something like this. They need a booster. I mean, they are 4th in La Liga right now, but Athletic Club Bilbao, they are nearly there, almost catching with them. They are conceding many goals. They lost to Girona. So this game has a certain importance. And I remember that Barcelona and Real Madrid in 2011, they played about 4 clásicos in 2.5 weeks. And the amount of toxicity that the 4th game had already was a derivation and a consequence of what happened in the previous games. I can see something like this happening if the games are nail-beating, heavily contested, and there are some cards as well. So, I think that this contest is going to be quite interesting.
Interesting indeed. Saudi will be the venue for Italy's Super Cup, which is exactly the same format. That's next midweek.
Yeah, it is next week, midweek. They've copied the format. God knows how many years after the Spanish have been doing it. It did look like the Saudis were basically going to disregard it. So there was a little bit of controversy before Christmas. There was a Serie A assembly where all the clubs get together, and it looked like the Saudis were going to say, we don't really fancy this anymore. Or can you just play it in Jeddah rather than in Riyadh? But it is going ahead.
Okay.
But the fact that there was this impression that the Saudis didn't really care for this competition that they're paying for was quite a slap in the face.
Well, so
for
how
Serie
much,
A.
it's about 30 million or something, isn't it, that they give the Liga
and
the Super Cup?
The Federation.
The Federation.
The Spanish FA, yes.
Right. Would it be a similar sum for Serie A? Or
Yeah, no, it is a similar sum. I think there's almost like a flat rate for it, really, these days. It's just what the Saudis, oh, you want to have your Super Cup here?
The problem comes with the distribution of the money, because Valencia last year, or a couple of years ago, I can't remember now, complained that it wasn't fair. Real Madrid and Barcelona were getting the most of it. And
why would they get more than... Oh, because they draw a bigger audience.
Yeah, because basically that's the argument.
Right.
That's the argument. But Valencia complained about that, and rightly so, because they don't want to be just the guest in a tournament for some others. And this year, Atletico, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they're going to share part of the money with Osasuna.
Okay.
Well. So I think they are giving Osasuna 200,000 each. That obviously is still less than what Madrid and Barcelona are going to get.
Right.
But Osasuna is going to get some more that they were supposed to get in the first place.
Right. Osasuna are there because
they were runner-ups in the Copa del Rey last year.
Okay. Was all this Rubiales' idea?
It was Rubiales'. He plotted, he schemed all this. Yes,
right.
that's true. He did it.
The other thing to mention about the Italian Super Cup and why it caused controversy, obviously, I mean, they played other Super Cups in Saudi Arabia, not in this format, and at that time it did stir up some things about human rights in Saudi, women's rights in Saudi. But again, going back to this assembly in December, the mild-mannered and softly spoken Aurelio De Laurentiis, Napoli owner, basically, I think he threatened to boycott it on the basis of the conflict in the Middle East, saying that this could spread from Israel and Gaza. And do I really want to be flying my players to Saudi Arabia at this time, considering the amount of value that would be locked into this team?
Astonishing.
It's just not talking about the watches. Or cars.
So I mean, the conflict does seem to be spreading. At least, when you look at the what's going on in Yemen with the Houthis and that sort of thing. But it was a concern, which I think is it's classic De Laurentiis in many respects to raise this. The Super League supporting.
Maybe he would like to meet Laporta and Florentino in Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
probably yes. Friends. Yeah. So, but he has his own Super League project, which no one else buys into.
Okay,
he's got. It's called Serie Elite.
Serie Elite.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Who's going to be in that then, Jay?
Napoli.
Okay.
It's only Napoli at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, so but
nice.
There you have it.
Okay. Back to Spain and the Copa del Rey. Meantime, last 32. You mentioned Unionistas getting past Villarreal with that penalty shootout. They've drawn Barcelona, who are having... I mean, they've made it through to the next round, but only just scraping past Barbastro. Where are Barbastro from?
They are in Huesca, which is not far from the Pyrenees.
Okay,
Pirineo Aragonés, they call it.
Right. What are they, 4th tier?
Barbastro are 4th tier.
And are they a pub team like Barbastro?
Nice.
Nice.
Or Golden
Good
Lion.
idea. Golden Lion.
Barcelona. Yeah, I mean, Barbastro, they are there up in the north of Spain, a very cold area, by the way, but Barcelona managed to win, but the thing here is that they always manage to suffer as well. No matter how easy the opponent is, they haven't won a game by a 2-goal margin since September, when they beat back-to-back Betis and Antwerp for 5-0 each game, and since then they have to carve and fight for every win. So this time, again, they were winning 3-1, and in the aggregate, Barbastro scored the penalty, and it was a little bit dramatic at the end, yeah, but Barcelona managed to get the win.
Barbastro's XG is 2.5.
Wow.
How do you concede an XG like that against a 4th division team, with a very strong Barca team, by the way?
Yeah, because most of the good players were there. If you check the scoring list, I mean, Rafinha, Lewandowski was scoring his goal too. Fermin scored, and he was one of the few players who actually, Fermin did something different to the rest of the players. He was somehow in rebellion with all that situation in which Barcelona looked as bad, with all due respect, than Barbastro. But you know, Barcelona's thing is that right now they don't do anything particularly well. They don't keep the possession great. Then they don't attack very well because they are not scoring many goals. Players like, for example, Lewandowski, they are going through a rough one. Ferran Torres, Joao Felix is not the player that we thought he was going to be, because Joao Felix is not making the difference for Barcelona. When it comes to Ferran, look, his confidence is this big, and he calls himself El Tiburón, the shark, and he is good friends with Ilia Topuria, the UFC fighter, and he gets inspiration from him and advice from him and all that. But Ferran Torres, again, is a player that he really has to start putting the numbers there and the performances in there. So many players are
What kind of shark is he? Is he like a basking shark?
I think that he will be one of those toothless.
Tiger
shark. Granny shark.
Yeah, there you go. Victor Roque, they managed to get him registered though.
And he has played already for Barcelona. He has had chances. The other day against Las Palmas, for example, he was capable of creating one for himself as soon as he came onto the pitch. Hasn't scored, but what I have seen from him is that physically he's very sharp. He's going to add a lot of speed and pace to Barcelona's attack. Okay.
You mentioned it getting quite tense at the end, the game between Barbastro and Barcelona.
Yeah.
There was an altercation as well between some of the home side's players and Xavi. What was behind that?
There was animosity, and I cannot tell you why, because during the game, it's true that after the game, Xavi complained about the VAR not being in place in the Spanish Cup, which is something that, honestly, Xavi played 25 years in his career without VAR, and he should know football without it. But Xavi complains a lot, that's for sure, but there could be, and this is pure speculation, animosity towards Xavi, because Xavi is presented as the antithesis of Ancelotti. So Ancelotti doesn't generate this animosity because Ancelotti's antics and everything are more liked, but Xavi's aren't. And I think that Xavi is getting as well many headlines, which are sometimes with the angle of a little bit of mockery, because sometimes he makes a caricature of himself, complaining about the quality of the surface, playing during the day and not at night, having the sun facing them. You know, he has done all these things, and at the end, I guess that a big part of sport readers and all that can get slightly irritated. I don't know if this has played in the minds of Barbastro players, and then when Xavi complains in the touchline, they are like, okay, let's have a go at this guy because he's always complaining. There could be a bit of that, but I really don't know. Xavi dismissed in the press conference the problem. He said that nothing happened really, so we can stay there as well.
Okay. Unionistas will be trying their luck against Xavi's side Wednesday the 17th. This was the moment that they heard the news that they would be up against the Catalan Giants. Very nice. They had the pick of probably the standout tie though of the round of 16 coming up next midweek is that other Madrid derby, Atletico Madrid. Who do they get through against?
Lugo.
Yeah.
Lugo, and
Struggled
they
as well. Yeah.
struggled a bit.
Uh-huh.
Real Madrid, meanwhile, were taking on Arandina, again from the fourth tier. Arandina, who marked the occasion by sending a request for shirts to Real Madrid.
Yes.
Shirt swaps.
Yeah. Basically.
So they essentially handed in a letter saying, these are the shirts we'd like. Please furnish at the end of the game.
yeah, and
That pretty makes sense.
makes sense because it avoids the hassle at the end, I guess.
The
Yeah.
tension as well when you're
But imagine
playing.
the
The
kids.
most-
That's mostly why I think those players are excited to play against those teams, especially if you create them. But otherwise, is to get those shirts.
But imagine the kids who go to the stadium with their little cardboard cutout, which
No
says
chance.
the
On a game like that,
camiseta,
no
give me your
chance.
And by the way, the most requested shirt.
Who's
Do
was
you
it?
want to guess?
Jude Bellingham?
No.
No.
Modric?
Jules, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vinicius?
Modric?
No.
Vinny? No?
No.
Yeah. Modric.
Not in
Modric,
Spain.
yeah.
Luka
Okay.
Modric.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now, it's not.
Yeah, I would have expected Bellingham, to be honest.
Right.
Spanish
In the-
obsession with midfield passes.
Because we know football, James.
in the PSG, the Revel PSG game, so against the division, at the end of the game, so they were all swapping, etc. And Ugarte, one guy from Revel asked Ugarte for his shirt, so Ugarte takes the shirt and says to the guy from Revel, "Let's swap." And the guy from Revel goes like, "What? You want my shirt?" And Ugarte says, "Yeah." And the guy from Revel said, "Really? You want my shirt? Why do you want my shirt?" And Ugarte said, "Yeah, let's swap." And the poor kid from Revel just had really could not believe that a player like that would want his
Maybe
shirt.
he didn't want to give it.
Yeah,
It was like in his mind,
no, because we had you could hear the voice, and he was like, "Really, you want my shirt, really?" And Ugarte was like, "Yeah, sweet."
so sweet.
Ugate's sweet.
The shirt I'd want from that Arandina Real Madrid shirt swap would be Frodo.
Yeah, but it's a nickname.
It's a
no?
nickname.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
not do
yeah.
that then. Right. Yeah, sweet. We should talk Arda Güler, who's going to have plenty of people after his shirt, the way
Yeah.
he's playing.
Well, he was really lively in the first half against Arandina, and the quality is there. I remember this summer it went viral in Spain a video of Nihat Kabetsi, the former Turkish international and Real Sociedad player and Villarreal player, talking in a very funny Spanish with Basque accent about Arda Güler and his quality on the phone. He was talking to an agent on the phone about this player. And the truth is that I remember Nihat Kabetsi was saying, this is a player who is young, but he is mentally really strong and he's going to compete anytime. Well, maybe Arandina is not the best sample size for a player of that quality or that supposed quality. But what I like about Arda Güler is that from the very first minute, he wanted the ball. He was in midfield, in number 8 position, let's say, but he had the chance to shine and he took it because there was a free kick for Real Madrid, and I don't know if you have seen this one, but Dani Ceballos wanted to take the free kick and Arda Güler wanted to take it as well, and they were fighting over the ball for a little while, and at the end it was Arda Güler who took it and then he hit the post. But that tells you as well that he's got the character to do this. And he hit the post another time in the first half, and he was taking part in many attacking actions of Real Madrid. So yeah, it was a very promising start for him. And if you check his videos in YouTube and all that, he's not only a passer as he's shown against Arandina, but he's also a very, very creative dribbler. So I'm expecting like a couple of really flashy, nice things from him in the next month if he plays more.
Real Madrid's kind of renovation of the midfield has been extraordinary. The number of young talents they've got in there. Obviously Bellingham, Arda Güler, the various Camavingas, etc. that they've brought in. Yeah, Chamonix.
And some of them, I mean, Camavinga is ready for anything. Left back, midfielder, holding midfielder. Tchouaméni, it's doing a good job and he can get better. Brahim Diaz is only 24 years old and he's 24, and his accelerations from the halfway line, I mean, they are like an stampede, and he is a very small guy. He brings the ball to the edge of the box very quickly. Vinicius and Rodrigo. Endrique is coming now, the Brazilian guy, the Brazilian boy, in June, and for Palmeiras he's having an excellent season as well. So the renovation is there. It's been done. I think the only thing that Real Madrid has to renovate really right now are the fullbacks, perhaps, especially Carvajal's side, because Lucas Vázquez is 30 plus. Same thing applies to Carvajal. But yeah, I have to say that the sporting direction of Real Madrid is really good. So good that they have had 3 key injuries this season. Courtois, and especially David Alaba and Eder Militao, and they still keep competitive. They still keep competitive with Rudiger, who came as a free agent, and Nacho, who is a player from the academy.
Very nice. Excellent, Alvaro. Let's head off. Next up, we're off to Napoli for news of the ongoing meltdown there. All right, James, last week you were telling us about Napoli hoping to put 2023 behind them, the second half of it at least. De Laurentiis holding his hands up, promising reinforcements as well.
Yeah,
How's
some of
that?
which have already arrived.
How's that been working out for you?
Not great. So the one who arrived is a guy called Pasquale Mazzocchi, who's a wing-back from Salernitana, not far away
Right,
from
but
Naples.
Yeah, he's a Napolitan, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's Neapolitan.
Yeah,
I think his dad was a fruit and veg salesman.
nice. Yeah.
And he put out this lovely video just before he was going to go and do the warm-up before the game with the Napoli shirt on, Scudetto on his chest, and saying, yeah, it's a dream to play for this club, can't wait to get started. He comes on,
Oh, I love him.
and 4 minutes later, he's got sent off. So it kind of sums up Napoli a little bit.
Was he
this
too
season.
charged up, do you think?
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, I think he cared too much. He was
Cared too much,
too
yeah.
eager to make an
Yeah.
impression.
And he certainly made an impression on whose ankle was it?
Oh, I can't remember now. It was
Torino players. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, Valentino Lazzaro.
Lazzaro. Okay, and I mean this keeps happening to Napoli. I think there are sort of two trends over the last 6 weeks. One is their ill discipline, which I think on Mazzocchi's part shows like his eagerness to make a good impression. And then in the Roma game just before Christmas, it was 0-0. They'd been dominating possession, had a few chances, and then Politano, one of their best players, just lashes out. Looked quite a harsh red card, but you can understand why VAR would give that decision. He gets sent off, and then Osimhen gets sent off, and they finish that game with 9 men. They lose 2-0. And you've got this combination of leaving their teammates down to 10, down to 9, and a team that just doesn't want to defend anymore or isn't together anymore because they conceded 4 in the cup to Frosinone. They obviously conceded 3 against Torino.
That was this weekend, yeah. Which
And
not exactly a high-scoring team, Torino traditionally. So
no, I mean they're always this kind of up in your face, death metal kind of team. But to be honest, I mean, even though this was Torino's biggest win over Napoli in almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, they have been in good form of late, particularly at home. They've only lost once
Right.
at the Stadio Grande Torino. They have a chance of Europe for the first time since Giampiero Ventura was coach. So yeah, at this moment, I think they're only 3 points off a Europa League, Conference League place, which, I mean, that part of the table between, let's say, 5th and 10th is really tight.
okay, well, it's good
quite
news for
exciting.
Napoli, who are down in 9th, and might yet make it back
22
into Europe.
points, James, off their pace last year.
22
Is that even
points.
That has to be from
Well,
title holders. The
yeah.
worst for like.
But
for
remember
that.
Milan last year. Milan had a very disappointing title defence. But Napoli are they're hold my beer with that. It's been really
A lot of
bad.
people talking about how this is the fault of De Laurentiis because if he'd not tried to be a bit cute with Spalletti's contract extension that he kind of tried to automatically push through, then Luciano might still be in charge. Do you think some of these issues would have come out anyway after such a momentous campaign with Kim leaving, etc.?
So I don't think he would have been able to extend Spalletti. I mean,
Oh, really? He would have
No, I mean, Spalletti was given the honorary citizenship of Naples a few weeks ago, where De Laurentiis showed up as well. And he felt nothing of saying to De Laurentiis that, working for him was like being an actor in a horror film, which
Nice.
De Laurentiis kind of took quite well.
Right.
But I think showed you how sort of jaded Spalletti
Really,
was.
yeah.
He'd make a good actor in a Bela Lugosi star, Spalletti.
Yes.
Can you imagine him emerging from the show? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm digressing, but
Nosferatu.
yeah.
But I mean, some of De Laurentiis' thinking when it came to replace him was this team plays 4-3-3. It's been built to play 4-3-3. So even though there is someone like Antonio Conte free and available, I'm not going to hire
Who
someone
was in the stands for the 3-0 defeat away to Torino this
Yes.
weekend.
Conte was disregarded on the basis that he had placed with the back three. And that's why, one of the reasons why he went with Rudi Garcia, who listeners last week will remember that De Laurentiis said he should have sacked him immediately after the first press conference that he gave. And now he's got Walter Mazzarri, who has always played with the back three. Was told at his unveiling, "You're going to play a back three, aren't you?" And he's like, "No, I've watched all of Spalletti's games with Napoli. We're playing 4-3-3." And now Mazzarri's being told by journalists, "Why aren't you playing a back three? It's what you know. It's who you are. Be true to yourself. If you're going to go down, do it your way."
Going down is very much what he's doing. The worst start for any Napoli manager in 14 years, I think.
But the amazing thing is, James, is that think of how great to watch Napoli were last season and how electric their attack was. They've failed to score in 6 of their last 7 games in all competitions. Yeah. And some of that is down to the players not taking chances. Kvaratskhelia, for example, had an open goal against Juventus at 0-0, didn't take it. And Osimhen has either been suspended, angry. He's now off to the African Cup of Nations, having signed a new contract, which he celebrated in that nightclub, tossing money into the air. But the fact that this team is not scoring, I mean, Mazzarri would say, we're putting the players in positions to score goals. We are creating chances, so we shouldn't be concerned. And Napoli do have the second highest XG in the league. They've just underperformed it massively. But now that they've not got Osimhen for January, not got Anguissa for January, and some of the signings that they've been trying to make, Mazzocchi is now suspended. Draguzin looks like he'll go to Tottenham or Bayern Munich instead of Napoli. It is problematic. But saying that, they are still, for as bad as they've been, only 5 points behind Fiorentina in 4th place.
Good Lord.
So it's not irretrievable that they will be one of the teams, along with Fiorentina, Lazio and Inter, going to Saudi Arabia for the Super Cup this midweek. So maybe they'll win it, James, and everything will turn around.
Maybe so. Meantime, that's next week, isn't it? That's next week. Yeah. Next midweek. Coppa Italia quarterfinals this midweek, which they don't have to worry about, having been knocked out 4-0 by Frosinone in the last 16. The last 16 actually went on for a month, remarkably. It only concluded last week, and now immediately we've got the quarterfinals, which read thus: Juventus against Frosinone, Fiorentina Bologna, Milan Atalanta, and on Wednesday a Rome derby. Ooh.
Yeah. It's quite exciting unless you watch the last Rome derby, which was 0-0. And I mean, over the course of Maurizio Sarri and Jose Mourinho's time as coach of Roma and Lazio, Sarri's had the edge. Mourinho's only won 1 of these games. Sarri's, I think, won 3 of them. And the last one was the draw. I mean, in the league, there's only a point between these two teams. It's a very weird video put out by Lazio's social media team yesterday. I say weird, it's just unnecessarily provocative. Lazio beat Udinese at the weekend. And Udinese's coach, Gabriele Cioffi, used to coach Crawley Town, in his pre-match press conference, he says, "I'm a Roma fan." So Lazio's social media team clipped this up. There's then Federico Balzaretti, the sporting director of Udinese these days, and he used to play for Roma, played in derbies. And there's this image of him with this anguished face, really, as Udinese are losing against Lazio. So they clipped that up as well. And then they clipped up, I think, one of Roma's recent defeats and said something like, I can't remember whether it's Cry Me a River or something along that line. It was just like, wow. Okay.
Right. Wow. It's going to be a feisty affair then.
Yeah, it could be feisty. That's good.
Yeah. Jose Mourinho will be on the sidelines. That's the big news here. He's not suspended for this game, although he will be for their game on the weekend when Roma are going to be away at San Siro taking on Milan. That's on Sunday. That's after picking up yet another red card in last weekend's league match, which saw them draw 1-1 at home to Atalanta.
Yeah, he missed both games at San Siro last season through suspension. I think he's maybe only made 1 appearance there in his 2.5 years. And that was we all know that Jose is still loved by Interisti. I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't. It seems that he doesn't want to be there.
It can't be a coincidence, though. No, that he's always suspended for the games in Milan.
Yeah, it's slightly odd. Although he would point to the other 28 red cards that him and his coaching staff have received and say it's not exceptional. I like to miss other games just as much as I do these ones. But yeah, and Milan Atalanta should be a great game.
The fact that Thiago Pinto is leaving his role as sporting director at Roma, is that kind of a hint of what's going to happen to Mourinho at the end of the season when his contract is up?
I think it's interesting the timing of Pinto's decision. I think, if anything, it kind of weakens the structure of the club because they don't have a sporting director in place. They're going to have to hire one whose first job might be to say, hey, Jose, you haven't qualified for the Champions League in 3 years. We're going to move on. And that's not going to be a popular decision. And I think as long as that vacuum is there, perhaps the club is going to have to really show some backbone and nerve in basically saying, we're not going to give you a new contract, Jose, even though most of the fans would like them to do that. So Pinto getting out at this time is kind of a way of, I think, of like saying, I'm not, that decision's not on me. They were involved in a draw with Atalanta at the weekend. Roma, which was okay.
Yeah, Atalanta have Milan themselves in the cup midweek, and as I mentioned, it's Juve Frosinone. Juve, after all your talk of Musacorta, piling up the goals at the moment.
Well, they did in midweek against Salernitana.
Right, 6-1.
6, and a lot of their kids from the next gen side scoring.
Well, Yildiz, who we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Nice goal.
And I kind of knew what would happen. It's one of those things where the great Gianluca Vialli, was a year since he passed this week. He used to talk about the ketchup effect, didn't he? Which, when you haven't scored for a long, long time, all of a sudden you just go on a splurge. I think that's what happened in the cup game against Salernitana. And then when they had to play them again a few days later in the league, it was like, oh, God, okay, here we go. And they went behind. And then the goal scorer for Salernitana, Julien Maggiore, he gets sent off. And Juventus pile on the pressure. And another one of their next-gen kids, Islington's finest, Sam Illing Jr., scored the equaliser.
Lovely move, that.
A really nice move.
Yeah.
And then Vlahovic came up with another late goal.
What a header.
What a header.
Is he the preeminent header of the ball right now in
I think Giroud is still the best.
Do you think Giroud? Really?
I agree.
Yeah. But he scored a similar header probably a better header against Frosinone. This Juventus side is unflashy, but they get the job done. Often, apart from that exception, as you mentioned in the Cup, James, when they really racked up the score, they usually win by a single goal. But you just see the kind of determination in this Juventus team. That it's they have this great team spirit that they've been able to forge, which, considering the team has, in the absence of the suspended Paul Pogba, they don't really have a star player. You could say Chiesa, but again, Chiesa, when is he fit? When does he play? More often than not, they're having to find other ways to win. Even Vlahovic, there's been some speculation, which I think we talked about last week, about his future. He hasn't been keeping up with the Lautaro Martinez's, even the Osimhen's in terms of scoring goals this season. He's just scored big goals that have been quite few and far between, but big goals. And I think because it's into Juventus at the top of the table at the moment, that's why we're getting a bit of this complotismo going on, these conspiracy theorizing about, sort of referees giving decisions, which at the moment, Inter got one at the weekend. Marco Materazzi was on Instagram pointing out the like Juventus got a very good decision in their 1-1 draw against Bologna at the start of the season and all this sort of thing. But, whenever Juventus and Inter are locked as they are at the moment, completely on their own in this title race, you will get venom, poison kind of leaking out, toxifying the title race.
Can I ask, what are Juventus good at? I mean,
Defending.
Mainly defending.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Defending, but also promoting kids. I mean, this flat tax, which has allowed clubs to attract really good foreign players over the last 4 years, has ended. And Juventus and I would say Atalanta are in a really good position to take advantage, because they have, in Juventus' case, this next-gen team, which, you keep seeing not only players being tokenistically promoted as like a sort of, here's 3 minutes in stoppage time, you won't play again, but players who are actually really making meaningful impacts, to the point at which it has completely guided their transfer strategy in January. There was a lot of talk about Calvin Phillips, Højbjerg being signed because of the Fagioli and Pogba suspensions, and instead, at the weekend they started Nicolucci Caviglia as their number 6. They've got Yildiz, as you said, so it's a really good resource for them. And I think Allegri deserves a lot of credit, because any other manager would be saying, "Oh, look, Pogba's suspended, never been available to me." Doesn't really talk about Pogba, or Fagioli, this betting scandal, lost him, one of our best young players. Allegri makes no excuses whatsoever. He just gets on with the job, and the team just gets on with the job, and they're right in it at the moment. 2
points behind them. And in the quarterfinals midweek, that's on Thursday, they'll be hosting Frosinone. The quarterfinals getting underway this evening with an enticing-looking Fiorentina-Bologna match.
Ooh, that is good.
Nice.
Two teams currently just a point apart.
Fourth and
Fiorentina
fifth.
in fourth, and Bologna right behind them. The two, feel-good stories of this Italian campaign in many ways. Very good. We'll talk more about all of that kind of thing next week. But now, to finish off today's Totally Football Show, it's on to France.
Ooh. Woo. Woo.
Hello. Jules, that round of 64, you already teased us earlier on with one or two tidbits. What else stood out for you? You got the 9-0 win for PSG against Real. Some lovely play in that.
Yeah, you enjoyed that Asensio assist.
You showed that Asensio assist.
Yeah, backheel assist.
Would you like to describe it for the lovely listener?
Yeah, it's a little ding from Carlos Soler on the edge of the box into the box for Asensio on the wrong side of him. So Asensio improvises and crossed the ball with a kind of a backheel volley towards Mbappe, who then has the ball
over his shoulder.
Yeah, back over his shoulder, and Mbappe just wonderful stuff. And Asensio's been really good, and I think they missed him when he was out. I think he needs to play. Carlos Soler, who played sometimes centre back, sometimes in midfield. I think Luis Enrique really liked that, and I think we could see Soler doing a bit more of that. And overall, it was good. 9-0. We said before there was nowhere Revel could disturb this PSG team, even with a few changes that Luis Enrique made. And Chaendo, for example, scored his first goal and his first start, the young Italian, so that was really good. But Revel had a lot of fun. I mean, the coach arrived with the ultras, because they have some ultras, with the flares and the singing. It looked like a Champions League match for them, really. And I think this is also the beauty, not just in France, anywhere, is that they will remember that day, even if they lost 9-0. Their goalkeeper,
especially given they lost.
But their goalkeeper and the captain said, "Listen, I conceded 9, but had a lovely time. I really enjoyed this. This was an amazing occasion. We will never forget when the coach arrived at the stadium. They will never play again, potentially, in a stadium like that with like 13,000 fans, and to play against PSG and to have that." And the coach for Revel is from Spanish background, is Catalan as well, like a lot of the people whose family moved under Franco to the south of France. So he spoke in Spanish to Luis Enrique, and they had that lovely exchange. So it was overall a lovely, lovely evening.
That's so nice. Lille, 12-0. 12-0 losers against... Golden Lion, 12-0 losers against Lille.
Yeah, I think
biggest win by a club at this stage of the competition since 1979.
Yeah, the thermal shock. Because even if they'd been in France for a week, still, I think the cold, especially this weekend, was just a bit too much. And the level, Lille were good, they were on it. And when a team in Ligue 1 is on it like that, when they play a lower league team, there's really not a chance for an upset. So it's a shame, but they will come back again.
Okay.
Great opportunity, great experience for them.
It was a narrower win for Marseille against Thionville Lusitanos.
Yeah.
Out of the Alsace.
Yeah.
1-0 that one, and that was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
It's got a lovely finish as well. Gattuso is not happy. He's got a lot of players at the AFCON. They've just recruited Jean Onana, the former Bordeaux midfielder, on loan from Turkey. I'm not sure how much he will change move the needle, but they need more bodies. They play the kid Bilal Nadir in midfield, who came from Nice.
Was it a Nadir?
He was really good. He's a good left-footed player, but I think they need more bodies. So we'll see what kind of transfer window they have. But at least we saw them in the past sometimes on the wrong side of an upset, a giant killing game. This time at least they went through.
Things quietened down at Marseille, Jules, because remember at the start of the season the fans were against Longoria.
Yeah,
Marcelino.
it's a bit better because Gattuso has really turned things around. He's done an amazing job, to be fair. And he said, he gave a big interview in L'Equipe, I think last week, when he said I took this job for all the emotions, and I'm happy because I'm going through this. He said you would be mad not to take a job like this. So I think he's happy, even with the problems that they can have and the players missing, the injuries that they have, and he's doing well. So there's big games coming up. They will play against Rennes away in the next round, which is going to be very interesting. It's the biggest tie, I think, of the next round. But yeah, that was good. It was good for them to win. Only one Ligue 1 club were knocked out. That was Lorient.
Oh yeah.
Only one Ligue 1 team lost against not another Ligue 1 team, if you see what I mean. That was Lorient, who lost to third division Sochaux, Sochaux, who's a historical club in France,
right.
big club, who went
Doing
almost
badly
bankrupt.
on the social.
Yeah. They went almost bankrupt, so they went down.
Right.
And in the third division, and basically play the kids from the academy. They have an amazing academy. Marcus Thuram went there, and plenty of others. And that win was great for them.
If only they were sponsored by Timex.
Instead, they were like the Peugeot team.
Yeah,
no?
it's the Peugeot family.
True.
And what's the joke with Timex?
Timex Social Club.
Oh my God!
You probably don't remember that. You do, though, don't you, listener?
I'm sure they do.
All right, hey, Lens and Monaco.
Yeah, that was the outstanding.
That went to
game.
penalty kicks. 2-2. Outstanding game, Jules.
Incredible. The game in itself, and then they scrapped extra time now, so you go straight to pens. And this one of the best penalty shootouts I've ever seen.
Really?
I won't lie.
Why?
Samba made 3 saves.
3 saves. And he
Which is
still got
incredible.
knocked out.
And he still got knocked out. And at some point, Sotoka, his teammate, said, we just thought he was going to stop them all and we would qualify. Well, you need to score yours because Lens missed more. Majeki, who is the second goalkeeper at Monaco, the reserve goalkeeper, did really well, stopped 2 penalties in the shootout.
The Majeki of the cup.
The Majeki of the exactly. And then that was it was great. And Monaco got lucky because Lens were the better team, and in the end won 6-5 on penalties.
Wow. Lens will now be facing Paris Saint-Germain this Sunday evening back in the Ligue.
Yeah, big game for them. Yeah.
All right.
Jules, can I ask you about I think he's a centre back for Brest, who's attracting a lot of attention.
Yeah, Brassier.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, there you go.
I don't want to go there because I knew you two.
Was he involved in cup action this week?
So bad. And if Brassier signs for Milan, which is one of the, he's got a lot of clubs because he's a really good left-footed centre back or left back. I think
a lot of support.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Very good.
Any more? No.
No. The only other thing I was going to ask
on
about.
Brassier, I mean, on Brassier from Brest.
Yeah. Right. No.
Support cup.
That's true. I'd not thought of that. But so the only other thing I was going to ask you about, Tom Williams was mentioning on Sunday in another penalty shootout in the Coupe this weekend, the extraordinary Panenka by Antoine Mille of Châteauroux game with Les Herbiers. Yeah.
So he scored in the game a wonderful goal,
right.
A wonderful solo goal, and then he goes to pen. And this must be one of the worst Panenkas you've ever seen. Really, really that bad. Like he bounced a few times before the goalkeeper who saw. I mean, we all saw it coming anyway. It was one of the worst. At least they still qualified.
Right.
And remember, Michael Landreau, when he was at Nantes in a cup final, tried the Panenka, missed it, and they lost the final.
Right. But he didn't just miss this, as you say.
Yeah,
he hit so badly
pathetic,
that the goalkeeper could just watch it, walk up, pick up the ball.
Yeah, it's terrible. I
So
mean,
the goalkeeper just literally grabbed it.
yeah, I think James is probably searching for it now, so Alvaro, you can see it. Yeah, it's just like,
He should have tested it, man.
but
You know,
it's
like-
just,
I
I don't
didn't
know,
get
obviously
that. It's rolling along the ground towards
yeah,
him.
yeah.
At
So
that
the
point.
beauty of the Panenka is that you obviously don't hit it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feint it, but then if you don't get
Harder than it looks.
the touch, if you still don't get enough power, then this happens, and this is just it's just pathetic. It's
Yeah.
really, really bad. And
You-
Eric Cantona a long time ago did one, and the ball, it was really bad weather when he was at Auxerre, and the ball stopped on the line, so the goalkeeper went the wrong way, had still time to come back, and the Panenka literally stopped on the line.
No way.
Yeah, so Cantona didn't score.
Panenkas.
Yeah.
Cantona was quality, of course, but you need some quality to score a Panenka.
That's so true.
Seriously, I mean,
It's
not
not
every
easy. It
player
looks
can do
easy,
it.
but they make
Yeah.
it look easy. It's
They
not easy.
make it
at all.
look easy.
Do you want me to find it for you, James, or you have found it?
Well, I thought I found it, but they, in the video that I'm watching, which I think must be France 3 Pays de la Loire.
Yeah, it must be.
But they just cut to him with his head in his hands after showing two penalties. They obviously decided the penalty was so bad
So
that they
bad.
couldn't show it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Hero to zero, some would call it.
or even hero to zero, because it's the other way around. First the great goal and then the Panenka.
That's what I said.
I thought you said hero. Did you say
Hero
hero?
to zero.
That's it. Hero
There we
to
go.
zero.
Hero to zero.
You agree?
Dalle stelle alle stalle.
Alle stalle, sì.
How do you say it in Spanish?
I'm gonna tell you something. The Guatemala Guatepeor is my favorite one, but it's not exactly that.
What does that mean?
From bad to worse. The Guatemala, the country, to
Yeah.
Guatepeor. Peor is worse than bad.
But
Yeah.
what's Guata, Pio?
Guatemala is the country.
Yeah.
So the saying is from Guatemala to
It's
Guatepeor.
terrible,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Right. Sorry if you're listening in
Spanish,
Guatemala.
Spain can't do those.
Yeah.
It's pretty disparaging towards Guatemala.
Yeah, horrible.
Well, it's,
The,
you know,
the
maybe
beans
the
in my
saying
coffee
comes.
with some
Maybe the
Guatemala
saying comes
today.
from there.
so
you know?
bad.
Yeah. Very good. That's right, listener. We have reached the end of today's Totally Football Show. We'll be back with Rafa on board hopefully next Sunday. Tuesday, with a fat round of league action to report on from all the respective campionati. So do join us for that. For now, many thanks to James, Alvaro, Jules, and Rachel and Charlie in the booth. And you, listener, from all of us here, it's goodbye. The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.